Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this very special meeting of the City of Los Angeles Board of Public Works on Thursday, May 20, 2021. I'm Greg Good. I'm the President of the Board of Public Works. Mr. Knight, we do have quorum.
Correct, we do. Just FYI, so that everyone in attendance is aware, Commissioner Davis has indicated he will join the meeting late.
Great, thank you so much. For everyone's edification, this is in this unprecedented era. This is our second effort to really reach out to constituents, reach out to the city. The Board of Public Works has a fairly, at least recent tradition of doing satellite meetings, for lack of a better way to put it, out in the field and field meetings, and they've been very successful. We sort of put that on pause, like so many things, early on during the pandemic, but very recently wanted to reinstitute, and we look forward very much to this continuing in person, hopefully imminently. But in the meanwhile, like so many things, we want to adapt and give everybody the opportunity. The good news is, as Councilmember Rahman has pointed out, we can record, and they'll be able to share, and we can share with constituents who aren't able to make it. And in the meantime, for all the folks who are here, we can have a robust conversation about a whole bunch of issues. And really, what we hope to do is to provide breadth and depth in terms of the workings of the Department of Public Works. We are proud to be an engine of services, opportunity, infrastructure, and equity, and we're the vanguard of sustainability for this city. So we have big jobs. We do a lot, and we're proud of it, and we look forward to sharing that with everyone here. With that, before we get started, again, Councilmember Nithya Raman is with us today. We really appreciate it. I would invite, if you would like to say anything, Councilmember, and before we get started.
Yeah, could I just take a couple moments up top to kind of kick us off and to thank some folks from who are all under the Department of Public Works umbrella. Thank you so much to you, Greg, and to the whole board for having me at this event. I'm really excited about this. We actually have been trying to figure out how best to communicate with constituents about all kinds of issues. We've been doing digital meetups that are targeted to particular neighborhoods, which have been really successful. This is our first one with you, and if this, if this works for you and for everyone on your teams, then we're happy to do more of these. But we'd also love to do stuff that's in person when we can. So I'm looking forward to that as well, and to meeting all of you in person as well. I did just want to say that this is Public Works Week, very exciting. And so this is a moment, I think, to also recognize all of the Public Works employees that help make our district better. So we did, if you don't mind indulging me for a moment, we did ask our field staff for some names of employees who we love working with. And I just wanted to take a moment to shout out those names, if that's okay. In the Department of Sanitation, we love working with Sarah Bell. She's been fabulous in terms of helping us make sure that we're responding to Care and Care Plus requests and all kinds of emergencies that have come up, which I never expected to have to deal with, but here we are. And she's been fantastic in helping us navigate the system. From the Bureau of Engineering, we've really enjoyed working with Sean Mizan, Shirley Lau, Eric Munoz, and Brian Yoder, who've all been just fantastic in helping us navigate all kinds of questions that are coming into our office, and have really all helped us navigate kind of questions from community and making sure that we're getting responses back out to constituents as quickly as possible. At Streets LA, we've been so appreciative of Jorge Laredo, Stephen Dean Cree, Feng Li, Hector Banuelos, and Sherarod Nichols. I hope I'm saying all those names correctly, but all of them have been fantastic partners to our office, and I just wanted to thank everyone. And at Street Lighting, we've really enjoyed working with Robert Tom, who's been fantastic at helping us get repairs done and helping us figure out what's wrong and helping us prioritize requests. So just wanted to shout out some folks because it is Public Works Week, and I feel like a lot of work that's so important and such hard work that makes the city go goes unsung, and I'm really excited to sing people's praises. So thank you for that. I also really wanted to say that the programs that are under the umbrella of Public Works are really, I think, some of those that are of deepest concern to our district and to our residents. We've really, I think in terms of, I ran on a platform of addressing homelessness and addressing homelessness more effectively than we have been in the city. And the Bureau of Engineering has really taken on some of the challenges with helping to build the tiny home villages very, very effectively. These are new things that the city is taking on because we have to. We've never had to do this kind of work before. And I feel like, we've really done it in a way that I think is really innovative and that has done more. Another program that I think is really, comes up in every meeting, in every neighborhood meeting, in every neighborhood discussion that I've been to, is about urban forestry and tree management. It's really something that I think unites the district in terms of how much people care about it, and how much people want to talk about it, and how much people want to engage with it. And so I just wanted to make a plug here to say that on things especially like urban forestry, if there are ways that we can, as a council office, enable people to engage with those programs in a more textured way, to understand the challenges that you're facing, and to help the city take on some of those challenges, I feel like that's where we as a council office can really play a supporting role that can be really effective. We're good storytellers in our office. We're also really good community builders and coalition builders. We'd love to get more people involved in your work. And to help, I think all of us can help each other succeed. And so I'm really looking forward to that. And I just wanted to express my gratitude to all of you for the work that you do, and for the incredible work of all of the employees. I think there's over 5,000 employees that are under this broad umbrella. And, we're just very grateful for all of you and for everything that you do. So thank you very much for hosting this event. Thank you for inviting us to be a part of it and inviting our district residents to be a part of it and to learn from you. And to all of the workers who bring so much to the table, I just wanted to express our sincerest gratitude to them as well.
Thank you very, very much, Council Member. It's heartening to hear all those great things. One, the recognition of National Public Works Week. That's exactly right. And it is true. The 5,000 plus workers in public works didn't blink through the pandemic, have continued to grind, in fact, accelerate our work. And, on Public Works Week, I would just say, and listening to your comments, which really were nice to hear, on behalf of all of our folks. In the context of the federal conversation right now about what infrastructure and what public works is, there are those who take a very narrow view of what that is, and we do not. Yes, public works is capital projects, from streetlights to sidewalks to municipal buildings to water reclamation plants. It is also quality of life. It is definitively quality of life. It is equity. It is opportunity. It is the things that make us happy to be here, and we are committed to that. And so your invitation to partnership is exceedingly well taken, and will be embraced, I assure you. So thank you. It's exciting to hear. For everyone here, it is still a new format, not Zoom. I'll still manage to start talking while muted at various points, so please forgive preemptively. My approach to these meetings is a bit free flow. We have an agenda, but we want folks to have the opportunity to talk and ask questions. And so what we'll do is we'll go item by item, where we will basically give an overview of the the great work that's happening, challenges, and then open the floor to questions. And we'll see where that takes us. So with that, thank you all for being here, and we will kick it off. Item number one, TJ, I'm introducing item one, correct?
Yes, that is correct, President.
Okay. So one of the most popular and important programs the city's been engaged in for a long time is graffiti abatement. And that happens out of our Office of Community Beautification under the leadership of the indomitable Paul Roch and his team. We also do all kinds of tons of cleanup work out of OCB that folks aren't quite aware of, and so I will make sure that folks are. And with that, Paul, you want to kick us off with OCB?
Yes. Hi. Good evening, everyone. Let me ask for TJ. Are those PowerPoints going up? Is that?
So that would be you sharing your screen.
Oh, is that right? Okay, I wasn't sure because you asked me to send you the PowerPoint. So.
Yeah, that's for the final file.
Okay, so I can perhaps try to.
Let me just go ahead and say thank you to the members of the public who are joining us, along with Council District 4 this evening. Please make a note that if you would like to comment on any of our items, please go ahead and when the item is being presented, press *9 to raise your hand, and that way I can queue you up to make a comment on the agenda item. Thank you.
Okay.
If you're having difficulty with the *9 bit, just wave your hands wildly, and somebody's going to see it.
Okay. So is my screen sharing now?
It is. It's not full screen, but yes, it is.
Okay. Is it big enough, or do I need to somehow figure out? Anyway, so again, my name is Paul Roch. I'm the director of the Office of Community Beautification, which is an office situated within the Board of Public Works. Again, very happy to be here tonight with the residents of CD4. Very quickly, the Office of Community Beautification, our vision is a city where every neighborhood is a clean, green, and beautiful place to live, to work, and to play. We try to get there through our mission, which is to inspire, educate, and empower people to take actions to improve and beautify their community and their environment. We have several programs that we try to do this with. What we were really started for was coordinating volunteer cleanup efforts throughout the city of Los Angeles. We have a warehouse which is full of brooms and rakes and trash bags and shovels, and they're not really doing any good just sitting in the warehouse. We want to get those supplies out into the hands of volunteers. So very quickly last year, and it was somewhat a quieter year, obviously, because of the pandemic situation. But we did assist and support 156 community beautification / cleanup events across the city of Los Angeles, working with volunteers. We had 9,037 volunteers come out. In a typical sort of non-pandemic year, we support over 300 community cleanup events throughout the city of Los Angeles. Typically have between 35,000 to 40,000 volunteers that come out. But again, last year was impacted. You can see we still had about 9,000 volunteers. Those volunteers provided almost 35,000 hours of community service, cleaning up their own neighborhoods and their communities. And looking at the value of those volunteer hours, they donated or provided over $1 million worth of service cleaning and beautifying the city of Los Angeles. Perhaps what we're most known for better or for worse, is the graffiti abatement program in the city of Los Angeles. We contract with nonprofit community-based organizations that are geographically spread across the city of Los Angeles. Those crews are out there on a daily basis, either responding to requests for service, which can come to the city in various ways, whether that's using the MyLA 311 mobile app, calling 311, or just going onto the city website, and there are ways that you can submit graffiti requests there as well. You can see last year those crews received over 141,000 requests for graffiti abatement service. That really represents about a third of the work they do. The other 2/3 is those contractors just driving around, knowing where there are hot spots in the city, and proactively removing that graffiti maybe before people even realize that a particular wall was tagged up. Last year, on a citywide basis, 27.9 million square feet of graffiti was removed, which was the largest amount in the past few years. I took a look at what we're doing this year, and actually we've exceeded that amount already for the current fiscal year that we're in. We're on pace to remove about 36 million square feet by the end of June. So, you know, a lot of that has to do with the fact that because of the pandemic, streets were empty. A lot of people felt like it was easier to go out and tag walls and things like that. But our crews have been on top of it, both in terms of square footage being removed, answering calls for service. As noted here on the screen, about 62% of requests for service are handled within 24 hours or less, 72% of those requests within 48 hours, and 77% closed within 72 hours. The same contractors, in addition to doing graffiti removal, they also provide public right-of-way cleanup services, weed abatement, litter and trash cleanup. So last year, those contractors serviced about 8,100 locations throughout the city of Los Angeles. They cleaned up, picked up 137,000 bags of trash with light litter and weeds and various debris from primarily along the public right-of-way. They also collect large discarded items that may be out there as they're doing the work as well. So we picked up over 23,000 of those and successfully got those, put where they're supposed to be. Here's a few before and after pictures of some of the work performed by our contractors. And we are looking forward to an even higher number this year. It looks like the budget is going to provide additional resources for the Clean LA work project. A lot of people are going to be hired, get job training, and have the opportunity to provide this type of service and also get their working records on track. Keep Los Angeles Beautiful is one of the programs of the Department of Public Works. OCB is one of the lead agencies on that. Just this past Tuesday, we conducted a Beautification Conference, and we did it virtually. First time we've done it virtually. We've had a couple of them in person in past years, but we really had over 200 people, I think, combined attend the Beautification Conference, and obviously big shout out to Commissioner Garcia who led that effort, and it really turned out well. We had a number of different workshops and sort of a virtual exposition booth that a number of different agencies, pretty much all the different public works bureaus were there, and other city agencies, pretty much anybody who was involved in environmental and beautification type of issues. And so lastly, one of the things that we did kick off or announce at the conference was that Keep Los Angeles Beautiful is launching a Beautify LA grant. We have dedicated $40,000, which is going to be a competitive grant on a citywide basis. Grants can be up to a maximum of $2,500 that KLAB will support for a project. It's a matching grant, so groups will have to match at least 25% of that amount. Hopefully they'll be able to match more, perhaps by working with local neighborhood councils or with their volunteer efforts and stuff. So anybody who's interested, we do have our application out. They can go to the laocb.org website, go to the section about Keep Los Angeles Beautiful, and the grant guidelines and application is there. We've tried to make it as easy as possible. The first round of grants will be due on June 30th, so we have about 6 weeks until those come due. If anybody has any questions, they can certainly email our office or call anybody within our office. We'd be happy to talk to them. We'd be happy to go out and give presentations to any groups that may want to learn about the grant. So that's a quick Office of Community Beautification in a nutshell, and I don't know if anybody would have any questions. I'd be happy to answer those.
One note, Paul, I'm assuming we'll make sure and get the information regarding the grant program to your office, council member.
Yes. Part of our efforts will be approaching all of the council offices and making sure that they are aware of it and have the links and all the information.
And we're happy to also, Councilwoman, do a presentation to your field staff and your district director so that they can spread the word. We're more than happy to do that as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. Or we could do that in partnership with another council office as well to save you guys time, but that would be fantastic.
Yeah, that would actually be a good, if we were able to combine 2 or 3 at the same time, that's actually a very good idea.
All about time saving over here.
Do we have any questions, TJ?
So again, TJ Knight, Assistant Executive Officer. If there's any members of the public or anyone in attendance who would like to ask a question or make a comment on the OCB's presentation, please press *9 or go ahead and unmute yourself at this time. I don't see anyone.
I have a question if no one else does.
Yes, all right.
I was curious about the you shared some numbers about the percentage of cleanups in District 4 or location service in District 4 versus where in other places. And
right.
Some of it, it's not necessarily 1/15 of the total number of locations. So I'm kind of curious about how you're making decisions about where you're servicing. Is it because we're not asking for enough? Or is it because there's, a prioritization that you're doing, which is leading to kind of different allocation of resources? And if that is the case, how can we make sure and make up that, make sure that we're doing what we need to do in our district as well?
Right. Yes. So we do try to prioritize the more heavily impacted parts of the city, and so we do put more resources for cleanup and graffiti removal into, say, Council District 8, Council District 9, the super heavily impacted areas. Traditionally, CD4 has been, and good for you guys, one of the cleaner council districts overall in the city, but that's certainly not to say that there aren't areas that need work. And our numbers are up this year. I think I looked at where we were in terms of graffiti removal. We're on pace to remove over 100,000 square feet more in Council District 4 this year than last year. But certainly, encouraging people when they see issues out there, when they see graffiti, when they see different types of urban blight, to report it. Use the MyLA 311 app, call 311. Let us know where those issues are. Certainly a big portion of what we do is response driven. But also we do know that, there are certain parts of the city that are have great areas of need. We do try to prioritize those. So.
And to your, if I can just echo Paul, another thing is we do really urge and encourage folks to avail themselves of 311 because it works. And what that does do, also, council members, it does trigger the human, the humans to be out there who then do the proactive work they see along the way, right? And so there is a sort of cascading effect in terms of coverage. And so, but we're happy to work with y'all on that, including communicating about 311.
And I know that the LA Conservation Corps does a huge amount of work in Council District 4 through some of their other programs and through programs that your district has funded.
Yeah, we've been funding.
Right.
Yeah, we've been funding them, and we use them pretty extensively to complaints that come into our office.
Correct.
Yeah.
So those numbers are not reflected in these numbers because that's kind of a standalone, separate project and stuff like that. So, there is a huge amount of work that's going on in your district. A lot of it through LA Conservation Corps and funding that your district is set aside specifically for that, for tree plantings and tree waterings and general litter cleanup and everything like that as well. So.
And as Paul said, the council just approved or had an initial vote approving substantial additional investment in our OCB programming, and so that's going to be exciting. It's going to be meaningful for sure. TJ, any additional questions, or council members that got you covered?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. That's really helpful.
Thank you, President. If there's anyone else in the meeting who would like to offer comments or has a question for Paul on his presentation, please go ahead and press *9. Seeing no one indicating that they have any questions, I think that we can move on.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul, very much.
Of course.
Thank you and your team. I will just take a moment also, and I think this would be helpful for your CD4 constituents who may watch later as well, to also give a bit of an overview. The Office of Community Beautification is not the only office in addition to the 5 bureaus that are a part of that we'll all hear from today, that are a part of the Department of Public Works. In addition to the Office of Community Beautification, the Office of Petroleum, Natural Gas, and Safety Administration is part of the Department of Public Works, and under our purview. The nascent but gonna be on fire Office of Climate Emergency Mobilization is in the Department of Public Works. We are fired up about that. Our city's chief forester is in the Department of Public Works. And then our Office of Film and Television Production is also in the Department of Public Works. Councilmember, you may want to note that just because a lot of that ends up coming through. So if you ever have issues around that stuff, please don't hesitate to reach out. And then our Office of Accounting. So we got a lot of great work and a lot of folks going. So we'll move on to our next item and overview today, which Commissioner Villegas, are you good to go?
I am, yes.
Okay, great. So item number 2 is Streetscape and Street Services Overview. Bureau of Street Services. My outstanding colleague, Commissioner Teresa Villegas, is with us to introduce this bureau.
Thank you. And good to meet you, Councilmember Ramon, and your little one. Always have to balance work and home. You know the feeling. I am Commissioner Villegas, call me Teresa, but I am the liaison for Streets LA under the leadership of Mr. Adel Hashtlil. And with Streets LA, we do, you know, it used to be a lot about streets. It used to be a lot just about like resurfacing and paving. But as you heard in, you know, council meetings and in budget meetings, streets are all about trees. Streets are all about water. Streets are all about infrastructure. Streets are, you know, they make up the fabric of cities. And with that, it includes a lot of work, even though, you know, the average, you know, resident that drives through our streets doesn't, they don't need to acknowledge it. They don't need to see it. They just need to understand that our streets are viable and that our streets are comfortable for their cars, but yet comfortable for our pedestrians and especially for our cyclists, because times are changing and we're a pedestrian-friendly city. And we also know that trees provide cooling, and you'll hear all about that from Adele. That's all a part of this. We have our great Cool Streets program as well that you'll hear a little bit about. We have tree inventory, where we're inventorying every single tree in the city of Los Angeles, including those beautiful palm trees that don't provide necessarily a lot of shade, but they're still included. But we're looking to move towards other types of trees that do provide additional shading and green canopy. So with that, I will turn this over to our director, Adele Hashkaleo. Thank you.
Yeah, I was only planning to be here for a few minutes just to say hi, but let me just say something about what you said, Commissioner and Councilwoman. Great to be with you. I think we share the same thing. Streets connect people. And really, it's amazing what we have been working on. It's not just about streets. It's about taking care of people and providing shade, shelter, a safe place for people to walk, bike, commute, and cooling as we face climate change adaptation, as we clean our air, creating a healthy environment. This is what we're all about. Streets always about enhancing the quality of life for all, and by making our streets safe, mobile, and sustainable. So I want to just say I'm so proud of the men and women of Streets LA, along also with our brothers and sisters in Public Works. We all are worked hard every single day throughout the pandemic, serving our community. What I told my staff at the time as we were going out while they're working, while everybody was staying at home, is that we are providing hope. We provided hope for people that tomorrow is a better day, and that's really what we continue doing every single day. You know, I want to just say something. It's exciting that we are really leading the way for one infrastructure integration, what I call integration, innovation, and inclusion. We're building projects across our city to really not only implement Vision Zero, but also to provide stormwater capture, shade, shelter, cool environment, safe sidewalks, and that's happening everywhere. And we're seeing the grants from the California Transportation Commission really support that vision. We look forward to more money coming from the governor and from the federal government. But we have a great team working hard. I know Anna, Sabrina, Rudy is great representing the team on our advanced planning. But also we are working really hard on Lance Owishi will be talking about his street furniture program to really provide shade as people are taking transit and providing what we need, access and information and public health and safety as we provide hand sanitizing and other things in our new ventures. Aida Valencia, our great leader in our street renewal, has done a great job. And yesterday we celebrated with the mayor, one of our crown jewels, the plant with our commissioners. The asphalt plant we have close to downtown, it's state of the art. It's recycles most of the asphalt for putting it back on our streets, so nothing goes to waste. And also we're looking for different ways to do that. I want to just invite everyone to join our tree summit tomorrow. We have a tree summit, our third annual tree summit, and you can come in and register by going to our website and we have it available on social media. It would be great to really have the community. This is a celebration of integration, and this is a celebration of trees and water in this. Let me introduce somebody who's really special. My CFO and our fierce leader for us, who has been a great advocate for responsibility, but also innovation and doing the right thing. Stephanie Clements. Stephanie's going to represent the board. I'm going to leave in a few minutes, but I wanted to let Stephanie take the lead. And I want to say thank you. Look forward to seeing you, Councilwoman, and working with your team and as we move forward. Thank you.
That's very kind. Hi, council member. Nice to meet you. My name's Stephanie Clements. I'm one of the, it's actually 3 assistant directors now at Streets LA. We had 4, but one of them retired through SIP. I oversee the administrative functions of the Bureau, budgeting, contracting, HR, things like payroll, things like that. So I'm not the expert of our streets, and we do have experts here today, as Adele mentioned, Aida, Anna, Lance. So I'm going to keep it short and then pass it on. But I did really appreciate your comments, because I think that's really such an opportunity to better link with communities. Because I think you're right, if they better understand what our issues and problems, they just better understand what we're going through. Because it's not that we may not want to help, but there's roadblocks or impediments in the way. So I think if communities have those facts, then they better understand where we're coming from. And then also it's that resource that we can really, work with you to reach out to communities so you can help us and we can do more. So what's great, and this is really what part of Adele's vision is, he's created this external relations team to reach out to communities to do just what you're talking about, doing that outreach and really bring them on as a resource. So I'm going to pass this on, definitely what you're talking about, to Martin Schlegeter and his team. So, but as you know, Bureau of Street Services, which we now are known as Streets LA, we maintain all of the streets in the city, the urban forest that you mentioned, the sidewalks. We also have an investigator group who enforces all the code in the streets. And we have an amazing advanced planning group and also a grants group. And our grants group is really growing. We're getting a lot of really great grants, so we're super excited. It's been a challenging year, like with every person in the world and every city department. We've had to deal with COVID. We had a high COVID rate. We had hundreds of Streets LA employees quarantining. We had many Streets LA workers working DSW work at hotels, at testing sites. We've had SIP, where we had about 10% of our workforce retire. But we've adapted, and that was really Adele's vision too, is that we're going to adapt with the times. And so we adapted through our work programs. We quickly changed to arterial streets and more streets with traffic when we knew traffic was a little less. So we've reallocated resources. We reached out to DWP and identified additional resources when times are really tough. We helped with slow streets with Department of Transportation and the Al Fresco program. So we've done a lot this year, and we're really, really proud of what we've done. We have about a $200 million budget. We do have challenges. We are so proud of everything we do, but there are challenges in terms of staffing, and contracting and hiring still takes its time. But we're super excited about next year's budget. We have a street sweeping optimization study that will look at our entire city and how we can most effectively use our existing street sweeping resources to clean as many streets as possible. We have new tree crews that we're super excited about, 2 new tree crews, watering crew. So that's the happy news. The not so happy news, we had to reallocate street resources to fund the tree crews. So paving gets hit, but still there's that more focus on trees. And as you know, I've been at Streets LA for a few years. I've worked for the city for 25 years, but every community meeting you go to, it just seems to be all about, I want good sidewalks, I want trees, and I want streets. So we're excited about the new grant opportunities. In the next year's budget, we are allocated an environmental supervisor, which will help us with the CEQA findings for all the tree reports, because we didn't have that specialization. So there's a lot of excitement. There's some trepidation and some fear because, hiring is a challenge, and the entire city now needs to hire all at the same time. But we're really excited about the future, and we're ready for it. And so I'm going to pass it on. I think Aida, are you first in line here, or? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to pass it on to Aida, and I'm sorry. And Aida is are you our first female general superintendent?
In resurfacing for
yes, which is half of our budget. It's like $100 million plus budget. So we're super happy with Aida and so proud of her and love working with her. And I'm going to pass it on to the experts now and take it away. Thanks.
Well, good evening, everyone, and so glad to see you. And President Good, and I seen you in person yesterday. You probably didn't recognize me because of the mask.
It was great. Good.
So let me get my slide presentation up here. So we're Streets LA, and Streets LA, as it's been discussed, we do various types of work in different fields, and so one of the best places to work as far as I can tell, at least for the last 30 years. One of our divisions is our Investigation and Enforcement Division, and the Investigation and Enforcement Division are the people that sorry, I got a little nervous. They're the ones that do code enforcement for us. They make sure that our sidewalks and public rights-of-way are safe for everybody to walk and ride and travel. One of the things that they do is issue out permits for various things such as building material, special events, and anything that has to do with work on the streets. They're a very busy division, and the one thing that made it even more challenging for them this year was they took on COVID-19 compliance inspections. So on top of everything that they already do for us, they were going to businesses and making sure that they were complying with the COVID-19 regulations, which, as everybody knows, were always evolving, and our officers were there to make sure that these regulations were being followed and that everybody was being safe. On top of that, they also receive requests from the public for inspections. It could be anything from trash cans being left out too long to private property overflowing into the public right-of-way, and just anything that has to do with the public property. We also have our Urban Forestry Division, which everybody knows and loves and keeps LA green. So this year they trimmed 1,400 trees in CD4, and since we're approaching the end of the year, they're preparing for 21-22, and next fiscal year they're going to be trimming 2,100 trees in Council District 4.
And Aida, just to clarify, all these metrics are really just for Council District 4.
Yes, all this is work that we've performed in Council District 4.
And just to put it in context, we typically, in a pre-COVID year, do about 1,000 special events, although on there it just showed one because, there weren't obviously a lot of events right now. But typically it's about 1,000 citywide that we issue permits for.
And that's
sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Sorry, it's going too fast. So these are some of the metrics for CD4. one of the larger projects that they did is actually right on the border between Council District 4 and Council District 2 on Vineland, where they planted 25 trees, and this is a picture of what that looks like now in the center divider. We also have our street maintenance division, and of course they're the ones that do small asphalt repairs, and those of course are generated by people calling 311, calling our 800 number, and also by using our 311 MyLA 311 app. And we also do street sweeping, and in Council District 14 we've swept 15,402 lane miles. And also earlier in the year there was a large cleanup on Laurel Canyon where I believe we had 22 sweepers just to get Laurel Canyon cleaned up. Also regarding our potholes, our current turnaround time is 1.5 days. So from the time that somebody calls in a request for a pothole to be filled, within 1.5 days we're out there taking care of it. A challenge for our maintenance division is the street sweeping. We had a lot of sweeper operators that retired through SIP, and we adapted. So we've changed the frequencies, the sweeping frequencies, from weekly to bi-weekly, and on top of that we've implemented Everbridge, where now residents can get notifications of when their streets are going to be swept. Sweeping has always been a challenge. It's one of those love and hate services that we provide, because people love when we come and sweep their streets, but they hate that they have to give up their parking. So now, as we're integrating technology and sending out these notifications, it's really changing the way that we're communicating with our stakeholders.
And we actually are hoping to, we have this, it's Everbridge communication system, which is an emergency management communication system, but it also can do a lot of different types of communications, and that's what we're using for street sweeping. And we hope to just keep further expanding that to, notifications maybe for street resurfacing, but, things like that. So we're just looking to just further enhance communications to communities.
Yes, the one for the street cleaning is kind of our beta to see how it's working, how we're going to be able to send it out to really expand it. And it's true, as Stephanie is saying, when we go to a street to resurface or do slurry seal, we notify the residents on that street. But when you get to areas where you have a lot of apartment buildings and people park wherever there's a spot, now as this program of Everbridge increases, we'll be able to notify the surrounding area, not only the specific street that we're doing. So that's one of the very exciting points. And we have our street renewal division. And our street renewal division has two different functions. One is our slurry seal, where we cap our streets that are in fairly good condition and really expand the life of the street. Currently in Council District 4, we've completed 22.8 miles of the 57.42 miles that are allotted. And typically, Council District 4, we do slurry work either the first part of our fiscal year, which is July, August, September, or the last quarter of the year, which is April, May, and June. And that's because the weather is more favorable in this area. So don't be concerned. We will finish our 57 miles before the end of the fiscal year. And we also have our resurfacing. And resurfacing is different than slurry in that we actually come into the street, we take off the top 2 inches of asphalt, or sometimes more, it depends on the type of street and the damage, and we replace it in kind. And this is one of the projects that we do that's really satisfying, because you can have a resident go to work in the morning and their street is not the nicest thing to look at, and they come back at the end of the day and they're walking on a brand new street. So that's always one of the most rewarding parts, when you get to see our stakeholders have that kind of an impact.
And And just to put it in context, the city has 23,000 lane miles of streets. You know, we're a very big, geographically big city. So it's a challenge to try to maintain an entire street network. So, you know, in next year's budget, we're thinking we're going to maybe resurface or slurry about 1,700 or 1,800 lane miles of streets as compared to 23,000. So we're doing our best, but you know, it's a challenge to keep up.
It is, and we are actually sending out our July committed list in the next few days. Getting ready to kick off that 21-22. It's going to be a better year. We've been collaborating with the council offices, including Council District 4, to get your priorities so that we can include as many as we can into our program. And we have our Construction Services Division, and Construction Services is a division that does our concrete work. They receive work from Bureau of Engineering for sidewalk work. They're also taking care of our panel program, where every council district has received a certain portion of the funding to get the portions of streets that need repair taken care of. In Council District 4, we did 3 streets for a total of 10,162 square feet. So those were some good-sized projects that we were able to take care of for you. This year, everybody did something that was a little different, and one of the things that we did was actually put vote by mail mailboxes during the elections. And in Council District 4, we did 6 installations. So here is an example of one of the projects that we've had, and this was at the Hollywood Bowl Median Modification Project, where we put in a left turn pocket. You know, anybody that's been in that area, especially during the busy seasons, which is hopefully will be coming soon, there's always an impact with traffic for the residents, for the people going to the various events. And with this installation, once the city is back open and back in business, we're going to really see an impact of just this one project. And for the next one, I'm going to actually hand it off to Lance Oishis, because he's got a lot more to say, a lot more information for you on this one.
Good evening, and you know what, my internet signal seems like it's getting a little weak, so I'm going to turn my camera off just so my voice doesn't break up. And but anyways, so you know, the engineering division consists of both civil engineers and landscape architects, and we do a lot of different type of projects. One of the functions that we had, one of our biggest programs, is actually our design build program, of which the projects that you see here on Vermont Avenue, as well as the one on Highland, are part of. And we not only design the projects with our in-house staff, but we build it using our construction services and our urban forestry division personnel. And so this is something that we've been working on for the last 20 years. It's a really, it's proven to be a very, very cost-efficient and effective program. You know, we do about $13 million worth of construction. Right now, with the crews that we have, our work was impacted by COVID because, again, we were having to shift resources around, and we lost a lot of people. But we still are focused on delivering our goals and delivering these projects that really improve the lives of people every day. And a lot of them are streetscape projects. They include new trees. Again, we do access ramps. We do new sidewalks. We do a lot of decorative things like benches and trash receptacles. We do special pavement, crosswalks, and all of these things, you know, again, improve the quality of life of our citizens and constituents. The other thing that we do street investigations. So when there is a concern about, say, ponding in the street or something of that nature, people call 311. It goes to our section that does investigations, and they'll go out there and actually prepare reports, determine what the cause of the problem is, and then if it's a maintenance situation that we can resolve using our asphalt crews or our construction crews, we will get our crews out there to address those. But if it's a larger fix, like say if there was a bridge that seems like it needs a lot of work, then we'll work with our patriots, our companions in the Bureau of Engineering to actually program that work to get it done as a larger scale project. Another thing that we work on, and it's near and dear to my heart, is actually our sidewalk and transit amenities program, or what we call our transit furniture programs and bus bench programs. And so these two programs actually provide all the bus benches and bus shelters in the city. And we have some 1,870 bus shelters. We have over 6,000 bus benches, and we have right now under our coordinated street furniture program, we have also 14 automated public toilets, and a couple hundred of what we call public amenity kiosks and newsstand kiosks. And all of these things, go to better the lives of people working and walking on our streets, especially those that are transit dependent. We are in a process right now of trying to secure a successor program that we're calling, again, our sidewalks and transit amenities program or STAP. Our current transit shelter program actually ends at the end of this year in December 2021. And so since 2019, we've been working towards getting a successor program in place. Again, this is a tremendous undertaking. We are about to, we are completing our evaluations of the proposals that we received earlier this year, and we'll probably go into contract negotiations later this summer, and hope to have a contract before the City Council for its approval in the fall of this year. And again, this is all in anticipation of having a transition between our program that's expiring in December, so that when our new program is ready to go, we can start in January 1st without any type of disruption of service to our communities. I'm going to ask Ada, can you go back to that previous slide?
And then
one of the things that we also do is...
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, I just want to make sure we have time for all the bureaus, because I know we're taking a lot of time. So maybe if you could wrap up, Lance.
Sure. No, really quickly. So this is just some of the work that we do related to our street furniture programs. We leverage our resources to do sidewalk improvements and things like bus pads in the roadway. And then we go ahead and also furnish the transit furniture so that, again, people can wait outside of the shade. They have shelter and shade. They don't have to stand out in the sun. And we find this to be a very, very effective program. And again, this particular location here is at Glendale and Fletcher. And you can see that there was a gentleman waiting there before. His name was Ron, that was standing out in the sun. He's also an elderly gentleman, could not, has to take a wheelchair around with him. And so we were able to do these improvements. We've been tackling these one at a time, but again, through our new STAP program, we're hoping that we can expand our services and do more of this, even more of this type of work. So thank you.
Thank you. So that's all we have for you today, unless you have some questions for us.
Question?
Yes.
Hello. Yeah. Hi. Yeah, I do have some questions. I'm an Outpost Estates resident, and I have a lot of questions about the, we have cement streets up here that have not been touched since 1928, and they're in pretty bad shape. And we also have a lot of broken sidewalks. I've been told many times that no one will ever fix the streets because they cost too much, because they're concrete or whatever they are, or cement. And so I'm wondering if they will ever address sections, because there are some pieces that are really bad, as opposed to doing the whole thing. That's one part of the question. The sidewalks with the carob trees are so bad, and I know that part of the responsibility for repair has been put on the homeowners, and I don't know homeowners are doing those repairs, and I see people with strollers and anyone with disabilities having to get off the sidewalk and walk in the road until they can get back on, and cars drive up here very fast, and it would be great if we could get something done about our sidewalks, but I don't know how you compel owners, so do we call the investigators? So that's the gist of what I'm asking.
Yeah, thank you. Let me take that on, Adele here. I'm the GM. When I came into Streets LA 3 years ago, one of my first observations were two things. One is the concrete streets, and the second was sidewalks. On the concrete streets, there was a huge concern about the efforts to repair concrete streets, and that was the first time we were able to get some money into concrete streets repair in the city, and I think we were able to come and demonstrate that exactly what you said is if we do the panels instead of rebuilding the entire street, panels are broken. So we did that in a lot of communities. If you go up across the city, we've done a lot of that work, and we did it in Hancock Park and Whitley Heights and other parts of the city, across down in Lamert Park, and we continue. Just to me is what happened last year during the pandemic. The funding was actually pulled out for concrete streets, but our commitment this year is to continue working hard. We are actually prioritizing which streets we can do and how we can do it. The good news is the street damage restoration fee that was put in place by council in 2018 is bringing money in and requiring anybody that cuts through the street from a utility cut to replace the entire panel, and that's important. And so we will continue working on it. If you have a specific location or locations, would love to assess it. We have a very comprehensive effort to really work on it, and really what we've shown to the community and many others is that we can do it, and we've done it across the city by just repairing panels, and that will restore the entire street. On the sidewalk, there is a separate program. I know Julie, the Bureau of Engineering will be talking about their sidewalk repair program that's under the Willits case. But one thing that I raised, and I think I initially got some resources and support, the accessibility issue regarding sidewalks. I don't think we have enough resources to do that across the city in a fast time, so it's a 30-year program. But I think what we can do is do a stabilization and making the sidewalks safe. So we're really working hard, what I call, and Stephanie has helped me on that one, is risk and liability reduction. If we can invest now, it reduces the risk and liability of the city. We got support initially to have 2 crews working across the city, in addition to the efforts under the Willits case, which is focused on disability, to go in and prioritize the areas in the city and do kind of a specific grid and go in and stabilize the grid and coming up with some quick fixes. And so we've done some of that work, and we're trying to do it as cheap, as fast as possible. We've done some concrete work in kind, but those are a little more expensive, so we're trying to stretch the dollars. So we're looking for options, and we are doing right now, I think we've done recently, last few months, about 1,700 locations, just quickly, what we call stabilization, and that's something we're going to double down on, and that basically means taking the panel, shaving the roots, and possibly putting it back without any changes, with some potential grinding of the concrete panel. But then in some places we may have to take the entire panel and just put asphalt in, and then put some concrete dusting. It looks like almost like a concrete sidewalk, but it's safe to pass as we get to it in the future. So it's something that we're going to continue working on. I'm pushing hard on this effort. We need to continue looking at ways to invest more in this, what I call the risk and liability reduction on sidewalks, other than the efforts. I know Julie Sauter will talk more about it in the sidewalk program, but that sidewalk program is mainly for accessibility and disabled part of the population. But this one, what we're looking at is really looking at the entire city and coming up with ideas. So stay tuned. We're going to be doing more of it. But if there is a specific location, let us know. We have about 80,000 locations in there. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. How do I let you know? Because the thing is, I've lived in this neighborhood for 30 years, and in specifically where I live now for 12, and it's never been touched. And our last council person's rep insisted I drove them around, and they were horrified at the state of the streets, and nothing happened. And I took them to the worst places, not my street. I took them to the places where, you have to go up and down, and also the sidewalks. I've had been I have been debilitated at times and not been able to step up onto a sidewalk. So that's when I became more aware of the needs of people who really can't get around. And when I see people on the street where people are flying down and they're pushing a stroller, you know, for 30 feet till they can get back onto the sidewalk. You know, if somebody filed a lawsuit at every bump and place they had to get off the sidewalk, it's wrong. And I wish there was some way that we could actually get somebody to come and look at the neighborhood and see. I can apply for that. I love it.
We have done a lot. We can share with you locations we've done in CD4. Actually, CD4 was the example of the locations we've done. But
I understand.
I'd love to go at your location.
But I understand. I would just love somebody to come and look specifically.
Yeah, would love to come in and just, we will, if you can just pass the information to the council office, would love to come over, myself and the team, to come look at it, and just give us a location. Would love to come look at it, okay?
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I think TJ, you have Ms. Rougier's contact info, right, from being on here?
No, I don't. She's joined
I have.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
That's perfect. We work with the council office, with the councilwoman, and I'll come over myself to check it out myself with the team, as we've done before. It's to me, it's an important element across the city, and that's something we're working on. Let me take a look at it, and Aida will be happy to come along and we check it out together. Okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Rougier. Am I saying your name right? Ms. Rougier?
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you, Adele. Thank you, Streets LA. And Commissioner Villegas, we good to move on? Okay, great. All right.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Next up, we have item 3, which is street lighting improvements and technologies. Vice President Aura Garcia will introduce LA lights. Excuse me, Megan, and we'll jump on in. Hi, Vice President Garcia.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
All right, good. Well, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. We'll make it short and quick so we can get right to the nitty-gritty things and you want to hear about Bureau of Street Lighting. The Bureau of Street Lighting is one of 5 bureaus in the Department of Public Works. The Bureau of Street Lighting is responsible for the design, construction, operation, maintenance, and repair of the street lighting system within the city of LA. There are currently more than 210,000 lights in the city, consisting of more than 400 different designs. I will pass it on to Megan, but I believe Miguel's still here with us. Miguel, our director, is still here with us. Yes. Hello, Miguel, our director of Bureau of Street Lighting, and Megan, our assistant director of Street Lighting, will lead us into the presentation. Thank you both for being here. Megan, all you.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia, and thank you, Council Member in CD4. It's good to see everybody, and we're so happy to be here and get out and participate virtually and see our neighbors. As VP Garcia said, my name is Megan Hackney. I'm one of the Assistant Directors for the Bureau of Street Lighting, otherwise known as LA Lights. And today we have Eddie Chavez here, who will give a general overview of the work that we do in street lighting. And can answer any questions that anyone may have about the programs. But before we do that, I just want to share a little bit. As Commissioner Garcia said, we have 223,000 streetlights across the city of Los Angeles, and that's kind of our bread and butter, is to light the roadways and make things safe and construct and operate all of these streetlights. But due to advancements in technology and some changes as street lighting has evolved, we really do see ourselves as more than street lighting and more of a neighborhood asset. And really, we hope to enhance services and the quality of life in communities. So I think most of you are aware that we're funded mostly by street lighting assessments. Those generally run about $85 per landowner or parcel owner. So it's pretty lean. So we've, over the years, had to come up with some ways to keep our operations going. One of our biggest programs was our LED conversion of all our streetlights, which saves us annually about $10 million in energy costs a year, and has allowed us to do all the fun stuff that now we're beginning to do with the new technologies. So you see EV chargers and air quality sensors, remote monitoring nodes, all the cool new things. So I just wanted to put that out there, and I will go ahead and introduce Eddie Chavez, our former Community Services Division Manager, but he's going to do this presentation and will share all about us.
Thank you, Megan. Can everybody see the screen? Is the size good enough?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we got you, Eddie.
All right, thanks. Good evening, President Good, Board Commissioners, Council Member Raman, and CD4 staff and community members joining this meeting. I am Eddie Chavez, as Megan mentioned, Division Manager with the Bureau of Street Lighting, and will be presenting street lighting improvements and technology. There are approximately 223 street lights citywide that we own, operate, and maintain. As she mentioned, average cost per year is about $85 per parcel, which is about $7 or so a month. We spend a lot more almost in one visit to Starbucks, so just giving that as an example. As she also mentioned, in 2009, LA Lights, we began converting all our street lights into a more energy efficient and safer system LED program. And this resulted in a $10 million cost savings in energy for the city. What does this mean? It's 65,400 metric tons of CO2 emissions, which is equivalent to approximately over 13,800 cars being removed from the road, and over 7,800 homes less energy being used by homes. Energy being used by homes. Converting to LEDs, lighten the load on our existing circuits, which gave us the capacity to start adding new efficiencies and technologies to our streetlights. For example, EV chargers connected to our poles, smart nodes, 5G co-location, safety cameras, digital banners to come in the near future. So smart solutions, what is this? So I previously mentioned electric vehicle charging stations are attached to our street lighting poles and power being taken directly from there. So we have approximately 432 citywide, and for Council District 4, there are 26 spread throughout the district. We have air quality sensors. It's a program Mayor's Office request. It's in the early stages. This will project particulate matter. Pretty much what it is, it's atmospheric particles suspended in the air. So we are looking into installing a few in the council district. Transitional lighting zones. So for example, in Staples Center, LA Live area, and in Hollywood Bowl, we have these lights that are programmed to increase up to a capacity of 50% brighter. And this is for event goers and people during the peak hours of when they are leaving the events. It's between 9 p.m. and 12 p.m. It makes it a safer environment. Our illumination levels give that sense of safety to our event goers. Small cell attachments co-location program. So what this is our 5G network. It will boost our network coverage and meet the capacity of the demands that the people and students nowadays with the Zoom world that we are living in. It will. This is working towards to eliminate the digital divide. Copper wire and power theft is an issue that has affected the city for many years, becoming widespread since 2006 as the recession hit and the price of copper wire began to rise. It is a significant issue in the city, causing extended repair times and numerous light outages citywide. Why are people stealing it? It costs about $4.20 a pound of copper. So these images here depict obviously exposed wires and damaged infrastructure that is hazardous to our environment and for all residents in the area. This graph shows how copper wire and power theft affects the average response time for street light repairs and number of lights affected. Over the last 3 fiscal years, you can see that the substantial delay in average response time for streetlight repairs is more than 2 times, it's taking more than 2 times to make street lighting repairs when compared to 2017. The amount of street lights that are affected has significantly increased as well. Lights affected has more than tripled when compared to the 2017 fiscal year to the 2019-20 fiscal year. So the lights affected are in the yellow bar and the response times are in the blue bar. Obviously, this means more Angelenos are being left in the dark for longer periods of time. Copper wire theft, what are we doing? What measures are we looking into? In an attempt to prevent copper wire and power theft, we are taking more proactive approaches to help solve this crisis. This means we need to increase community awareness and educate the community on ways to help us prevent copper wire and power theft. We must also invest in community assets such as creating more outreach strategies. Some examples involve assembling an LA light strike team. I have been appointed the point of contact for the Bureau of Street Lighting, so I will be reaching out to the council offices that have been affected, and we will be reaching out to the ones, obviously, we'll start off with the ones that in need first and go from there. We must invest in community assets such as creating more outreach strategies. Some examples involve the LA Light Strike Team, community presentations, public distribution, channels through like flyers, go out to the communities, talk to neighborhood councils, other city departments. We want to create a partnership so that we could hopefully end this this issue that is impacting us citywide. We will build partnerships with council district offices, and we have reached out to LAPD in hopes that we could create a partnership with them as well. How do we report these outages or any street lighting issues? So you could use any of the 311 platforms. You could dial in 311. You have the MyLA 311 app. You also could go through the 311.lacity.org. Obviously, you could reach out to the Bureau of Street Lighting through our website. So that's all I have. If you guys have any questions, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Eddie. Vice President Garcia, do we have any, TJ, do we have folks with questions?
If there is anyone in the meeting who would like to offer comment or has any questions on the Bureau of Street Lighting's presentation, please press *9 at this time to raise your hand. *9 to raise your hand. I'm not seeing anyone pressing *9, so I believe we are good to move on.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Miguel. Any parting comments, Vice President Garcia?
No, I actually want to officially say nice job on that PowerPoint, BSL.
Always the champion. Thank you, Vice President Garcia. All right, and thank you, BSL. Thank you, or excuse me, LA Lights. All right, let's move on to item number 4. Item number 4 is sidewalk. This came up earlier. The sidewalk repair program. We have the sidewalk maven of the city of Los Angeles, Julie Sauter, here, and to introduce her,
Right here.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jessica. Zoom, goodness. All right, Commissioner Jessica Caloza is our lead with the Bureau of Engineering, and take it away, Jessica.
Great, thank you, President Good. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for spending your evening with us. Jessica Caloza with the Board of Public Works. I have the honor and privilege of getting to be the liaison with the Bureau of Engineering, which is in amazing hands with our city engineer, Gary Lee Moore. Bureau of Engineering, also known as BOE, if you see that acronym and you might be wondering what that means. BOE is the city's lead agency for the planning, design, and construction management of public buildings, infrastructure, and open space projects. Projects include municipal buildings such as police and fire stations, convention centers, and recreational and cultural facilities, as well as bridges, street and transit projects, and stormwater and wastewater systems. Open space projects include the development of parks and the restoration of wetlands. Engineering also manages permitting or construction for the public right-of-way. So for those of you who apply for permits at the city, you may have worked with BOE in the past. As well as the city's state-of-the-art online mapping system, which I know a lot of people utilize even if you may not be applying for a permit. Engineering's projects are nationally recognized in the areas of environmental sustainability, design, and they also fully support the goals of the city in terms of creating a prosperous, livable, and safe city for all residents and businesses. Some additional programs that are also under the Bureau of Engineering that you will hear about shortly from our Deputy City Engineer, Julie Sauter, is our Sidewalk program. And before I turn it over to Julie, I did just want to wish everyone, in addition to National Public Works Week, it is also Asian Pacific American Heritage Month, and I would be remiss if I did not give a shout out to Council Member Nithya Raman, who is one of our co-chairs, along with Councilmember Lee and myself, for the, 10 plus events that we've been hosting all month long for APAM. So thank you.
Join us this weekend, and Jessica has been doing an incredible job anchoring this month. I'm just so grateful to be a part of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for leading us. And I just want to give a fun fact about Councilmember Raman. She is the first South Asian woman to be on City Council and the first Asian American woman to be on City Council. So you are leading the way. Congratulations, Councilmember Raman. We are so excited and proud to work with you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to another incredible Asian American woman at the tip of the spear at BOE, Julie Sauter. Take it away.
Thank you, Commissioner Caloza, and welcome, Councilmember Nithya Raman, and all of our city family, our Department of Public Works, and all of our guests. So I know Carol left, but I'm going to be covering the sidewalk repair program, and more than happy to connect with Carol after this meeting. So let's just go ahead and share this presentation. So, thank you for the introduction on BOE, but this evening I'm really going to be focusing in on our Safe Sidewalks LA program, also known as the City's Sidewalk Repair Program. As it was mentioned before, it really was born out of a lawsuit that was filed probably over a decade ago in 2006. It's referred to as the Willits Settlement, Willits lawsuit, and out of that came the Safe Sidewalks LA program. So really the focus on the program is to make and improve sidewalks and curb ramps accessible for all. It's a $1.4 billion commitment by the city for over 30 years. We started in 2017, and in 30 years, in 2047, hopefully all of you will be out to celebrate the conclusion of this program, settlement program. So on your left, there's a before and after picture of one of the repairs that we did on Observatory Avenue. A very challenging, it's not You can't really see it, but it was a very hilly sidewalk, so you know, it was a challenging work that we did and repaired for the community. So the basic structure for the sidewalk repair program is really in 3 different buckets. The lion's share that's been mentioned before is what we call our access request program, and that is really to serve those with mobility disability. So if you know someone, or if there's people in the community that have a broken sidewalk or need a curb ramp and are have a mobility disability, they would fall into this request. And again, this is really the lion's share of our program at this time. We also have a very popular rebate program, and it's for those who don't fit into the access request program. A homeowner can share and participate in this program to get their sidewalk fixed a little sooner. And I know this program has been very popular with Council District 4. And lastly, we have our report a sidewalk. So if you are not a mobility disability, or you're not ready to participate in the rebate program, we still take your information on reporting sidewalks, broken sidewalks. Just again, as a reminder, you heard it many times this evening. If you need a request, one of the fastest and best way is to visit MyLA311. There's a great mobile app that you can use, or of course on your computer. And we also do it the old-fashioned way. If you don't want to use the website or your mobile app, you can also call 311. You can also call our Department on Disability as well as our Bureau of Engineering district offices. Pre-COVID, if you wanted to come into one of the offices, you could do that. Right now, you know, we're not doing in-person, but hopefully when we go back to in-person services, you could also visit our Council District, our Department on Disability, as well as our Bureau of Engineering offices. So I know I'm just going to go over some repairs that we've done for the city. This is on Irving Boulevard. And I just want to give a shout out. You heard a lot about Streets LA. We partner primarily with Streets LA to do a lot of our construction on our city sidewalks, but we also partner with our contracting. So I don't know if you heard earlier, but one of our Bureau Contract Administration, which has been leading a community level contracting, and that is another arm of what we do with the sidewalk repair program. We partner with first-time bidders and first-time contractors in the city of Los Angeles fixing our sidewalks. So it's a win-win, fixing our sidewalks and being able to provide opportunity for our first-time bidders. And here is another before and after. And you know, sidewalks, everybody thinks they're very simple, they're straight, they're flat, you know, it's concrete, but it's very deceptively complex. You know, there's a lot of engineering and a lot of craftsmanship in the construction that goes into it. ADA is which is Americans with Disability Act, is a very robust and stringent code requirements that we need to meet. And so here's one where we look at a sidewalk. You know, we have to make the crosswalk flat. We're adding in curb ramps, and so again, you know, a lot of shout out to the great work from Streets LA, our contractors, and our designers at BOE. And here is another example of a curb ramp. Seems like a very simple thing, but you have to remember that, you know, we're dealing with a built environment. We have fire hydrants, we have property lines, and so again, very deceptively simple, but it ends up being a very complex amount of work that we do. So again, very nice job that they did here. I know in your district, it's the elephant in the room. Yellow truncated domes is not very popular in our Council District 4, but you know, we're working you know, with the community and trying to explain the importance of meeting the ADA and having those truncated domes, that yellow bumpy thing on your curb ramps. Again, here is another before and after pictures. This one specifically is a rebate that was done by a homeowner. And one of the things that we're doing with the sidewalk repair program is we're piloting alternative materials. What we've done is we've looked at many different types of materials that are out there in the industry, rubber pavers, cementatious pavers, pervious concretes, and we're piloting them throughout the city, mostly in front of our city facilities. That way we have an opportunity to monitor and maintain them more carefully. We've installed them already, and we're in the process of really testing them and looking at the maintainability and how they actually hold up. And hopefully, as we find the products that work and have been very successful, that we will be able to implement them in our sidewalk repair program, as well as share the information with our proprietary departments, with with all of our other departments that also do sidewalk repair work. So, again, this is a great opportunity to look at alternative materials that are also good for the environment. Another big item that is of importance to the community is our EIR. We are doing a programmatic EIR for the sidewalk repair program because we recognize it is a 30-year program. It's been a very robust and extensive process. We started in 2017. We've done many community meetings, held public hearings. We've done our draft. We're in the final stages of the EIR where we release the final, which incorporates the draft as well as the responses to the many over 1,200 comments that we received from the public. We've heard it at the Board of Public Works, and we do have an opportunity for the public to be heard at our Public Works Committee meeting, which is next week. So again, I know this is a very important topic for our community, so we want to make sure that the voices are heard on the process that we've gone through. So with that, there's any questions? I know many of you have seen this presentation before, and I know Councilmember Rahman, we've been to your office, but for the community, those in the public who may have not seen this presentation, I'm happy to answer any questions, or you can always contact us at sidewalks.lacity.org if you have any questions after the presentation. In the middle of the night when you're thinking about sidewalks, you can always contact us. So with that, I'll stop sharing.
Doesn't everyone, Julie?
Yeah, I do.
I know you do.
We have a lot of sidewalks, and I know it's on a lot of people's minds. So we're always here for you, whether it's through the email or you can call us, and we'll be more than do more training and do more presentations.
I had a question for you, Julie, which is, does all of the everything related to ADA compliance on sidewalks, does that have to go through you if we have questions about it in our district, even if it's related to, for example, construction issues that are happening, if there's questions around building construction that's obstructed sidewalks, or if there's encampments that have obstructed sidewalks, does all of that, if we have questions about how to manage those issues, does all of that come through you, or is that different departments depending on where the challenges are coming from?
It depends. We do have the Department of Disabilities, who is our lead department on ADA, but certainly when it comes to construction, Bureau of Engineering. So our district offices are also, they are very well versed on ADA. So you have our district offices at Bureau of Engineering that can answer any construction design issues or questions you have on ADA. There's also a Department on Disability when it comes to just the broader umbrella of accessibility. But certainly, we have a very knowledgeable ADA coordinator that we had to hire as part of the settlement agreement. Her name is Natalie Sparrow, and she's very knowledgeable, and so that's another resource for you. So either DOD, our Bureau of Engineering, district offices, or certainly you can use our office, Sidewalk Repair, as kind of the first stop if you have a question.
Great, thank you very much.
And yes,
Councilmember, this is Ted, the city attorney. It's an excellent question. We're a huge city, so oftentimes just knowing who to call is the most important thing.
also reach out to our office. Issues involving the ADA and the sidewalk, there's a number of different departments that may be involved, even the Bureau of Sanitation, if it's people experiencing homelessness because they have, they're the designated administrative agency in charge of our District Code 5611 that deal with some of the encampment issues. There could be building materials being done for some private construction project, which in the public right away comes under the authority of the Bureau of Street Services. So it's a very good question that doesn't have a simple answer. So, but if you reach out to any of these folks that Julie mentioned, or my office, Alex Ponder is the person that often works directly with the council offices.
Love Alex.
And believe me, and we do too. And so when we get communications from Alex, hey, a council office has asked about X, you know, you're very quickly going to hear back from one of us. And if you think you've gotten to the right person and they're not the right person, then you just keep on trying until you get you the right answers.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ted. Council member, I know you have to leave. Any parting comments you'd like to share?
Yeah, no, just that this is great. I think if we can kind of get a cliff notes from these presentations, we would love to find a way to include this on our website to make sure people who have questions about issues that they're facing in their own neighborhoods can help answer their own questions and reach out to the right people within the city. A lot of our work in the council office ends up being traffic, directing traffic in terms of complaints or constituent concerns. So, as much as we can help get the word out about how people can, get their questions answered, I think that the better that we can do in terms of making sure that we can take on what only we can take on,
Right.
So thank you so much for spending your evening with us and with the district. And I love these events. And I think if we're doing regular coffee chats with our field managers, which have been really, really well attended. We just had one earlier this evening in Sherman Oaks, which had about 50 attendees with our field manager there. And we do them for really specific neighborhoods. So one thing I was going to propose to this group was that when we know that there's specific kind of issues that a neighborhood has brought up more than once, that we invite people from from the appropriate department to that meeting so that they can just have a direct conversation with the department about those challenges. And I think now that I know that those events are very successful at drawing people, I think that's a really good way to get the word out to those constituents who are most concerned about those issues. So we're looking forward to working more in partnership with you, to getting that information out, and to sharing all the great knowledge that you've shared with us today. And thank you all again for your hard work.
Thank you, council member, and thank you for all your great hard work. And I will personally task everyone here with making sure to reach out to the office with points of contact for the office. And then we'll also get you all of these decks so that your crew can.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
We'll definitely do that. And we all love community meetings, so we're all at your beck and call on that. Okay.
Great. Fantastic.
Thank you so much, Councilman. Okay. Thank y'all, and thank you, Julie. Great job. TJ, did I miss it? Did anyone have questions for Julie?
So if anyone has any questions who has not pressed *9 to raise their hand or gone ahead and unmuted themselves, I don't see anyone. Also, for the record, we were joined a short time ago by Commissioner Mike Davis, who's also on the meeting.
Terrific.
Oh,
good evening, President Pro Tem Davis.
Well, good afternoon. Good evening, rather. I want it to be afternoon, but it's evening.
You and us, that's for sure. That's right. All right, well, we will move to our next item. Item number 5 is comprehensive cleaning and rapid engagement care services status update from the Bureau of Sanitation. Domingo Orozco, who I think has care tattooed on his back, is with us this evening. I had the distinct pleasure of being lead with LA Sanitation and Environment. And Domingo, please jump right in.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Commissioner, President Good. It feels like it is at times, but proudly, I know the council member had shared her comments regarding Sarah Bell on our team, who is an incredible force and an incredible leader for us here in sanitation. So I'll kindly share those comments with her later. And I just wanted to make note, hearing from all of my colleagues this evening, my hat's off to everyone in all of the different bureaus for this incredible, tremendous year that we've all gone through. Across the city, everyone has stepped up in different ways, and I know it's been very difficult for a lot of us. So, please think, you have my thanks for all of the service that all of you have done, because it's been tremendous and it's been noticed. And, on behalf of the 3,500 strong at sanitation, the sanitizers, we work in various fields, whether it's water recycling, which is one of our newest divisions, or clean water conveyance, and also water reclamation, solid resource collection, and ultimately livability services, the division that I work in as the assistant division manager. And I wanted to do a brief presentation, and I will go ahead and start that. So to give you guys tonight an overview of our CARE program, our Care Plus program, which is the Cleaning and Rapid Engagement program for tonight. Really, the program here focuses citywide on several components within livability, and that's the Care Plus program, our Mobile Hygiene Unit program, or our MHU program, which provides sanitary shower and restroom services across the city, illegal dumping collections, and also public street receptacles, and also the collection activity of those. And so as we move along, just to give you an idea of our deployment, as I mentioned, many of the other city agencies had experienced quite a bit of challenges this year, not just with the global pandemic, but also the recession and the budgetary constraints that caused. And for us within livability as a general funded division, that forced us to look at a redeployment model of our programs. We currently have 5 regional deployment yards across the city. We have 4 care teams, which service the Bridge Home Special Enforcement Zones. We have 11 Care Plus. These are larger teams that focus on larger cleanup areas and larger services that we provide. They focus on focused service zones across the city. And they also have teams that are dedicated to servicing council districts across the city, so at least a minimum of 2 days per week to each council office. Along with that, we also have our mobile hygiene units, which I'll get into later, and some of the services that they provide. And then we also have teams that are doing automated litter bins. These are the unofficial mascot of the Livability Services program. They are the large black receptacles that we use, and the blue receptacles for recycling, for public trash collection. We also have our illegal dumping teams, which is really kind of a neat turnabout with the recession that actually allowed us to look at ways to actually stabilize this commodity and this collection activity. And then also our CleanStat street indexing system, which brings the cleanliness of all of the previously mentioned 24,000 miles of streets across the city. So very, very proud of that program. The CARE program was launched in October of 2019, thanks to City Council and Mayor Garcetti. And also these teams, as we said, had been mentioned, they're deployed across the city, and they conduct homeless encampment cleanups, and they address trash, litter, debris, and line-of-sight health hazards. And also something that was discussed this evening, they address any ADA egress, ingress, access, and accessibility and compliance under the federal law. Additionally, part of our CARE metrics program, we make sure that we are in development of a new program that will allow us to quickly collect and document the identification of any health hazards that we come across in the public right-of-way. This will help us with tracking any sort of issues as far as what we're using and what we're coming across when we're conducting our work. Additionally, some of the items that we've collected across the city in CD4, just over the past couple of months, you see quite a bit of material. And this is one of our mobile hygiene units, and thanks to the partnership of the board office, we were able to start this program with vendors, including 5 key schools and projects, and also our urban alchemy teams. And they partner with our teams as part of ambassadors, and they've been able to engage people experiencing homelessness. And to date, we've provided nearly 25,000 showers across the city. This is the first real large deployment, and I know the board's got a fantastic program that they manage, and they do. And we've piggybacked off that component, and we're very grateful for that partnership. And we look forward to growing this, as we will be moving from 6 mobile hygiene units deployed across the city to 13 this coming year. So we're very excited about this. From this platform, we're able to provide sanitary kits to the public. And these kits include hand sanitizer, they include masks, they include gloves, so that those who we serve in our daily work are able to be protected while they're out and about conducting whatever they need to do. Additionally, through this program, we launched a tent exchange and distribution program so that people were able to, who were experiencing homelessness, were able to also shelter in place during this pandemic. And when we look at this, we're looking at service requests relating to homeless encampments in the past year. One of the things that we look at is also, we've talked tonight about the My LA program, LA Sanitation, and actually under the leadership of Cecile Buncio. We have a 24/7 customer care division that's able to really work as a service distribution hub for all of sanitation services. And this team is staffing these calls 24/7, and they're able to take in any number of service requests, whether it's flooding or it's sewer overflow or what have you. They're able to take these calls 24/7. Operators are standing by, but they're also able to make sure that services are routed to the correct division within sanitation or across the city for ultimate service fulfillment. And additionally, now we start looking at our public receptacles collection program. Through an executive directive and through Mayor Garcetti's work, we've also deployed over 5,700 receptacles over the last 4 years across the city. These large bins, as I've mentioned before, are able to be collected by an automated side-loaded truck for fast, easy, and efficient use. We use these across the city, and we've also started to deploy a network of green wire receptacles and liners. What this helps us do is build a level of self-service and start to build a level of trust between ourselves and our teams, and also people experiencing homelessness, so that there's a level of service that's standardized and normalized across the city. Additionally, we keep a record, a database of all of the receptacles across the city, especially the receptacles across any particular council district. So we're making sure that we're distributing these receptacles in the places of highest need. Particularly with the automated litter bins, we're looking at high traffic intersections, high traffic corridors, so that we're able to have that material there, so that anyone can dispose of any material in the proper manner. Additionally, across Council District 4, we have nearly 800 receptacles. This fiscal year, we'll be looking at a increased deployment of an additional 1,000 receptacles, so we're very excited about that citywide, and we'll be looking at distribution of those receptacles in an equitable manner. And with that, I conclude my presentation, and I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
There, I did it. I started talking with the mute button on. Thanks, Domingo. Very much appreciated. TJ, do we have any questions?
If there's anyone in the meeting who would like to ask a question or make a comment on the presentation from the Bureau of Sanitation, please press *9 to raise your hand. Go ahead and unmute yourself this time and identify yourself for the record. Seeing no one unmuting and asking or pressing *9, I think we do not.
All right. Thank you, TJ. And thank you again, Domingo. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. President, Commissioners.
All right, our last item tonight is item number 6, and this is an update from the Bureau of Contract Administration on the Small Business Academy. Our President Pro Tem, Mike Davis, who is the lead with the Bureau of Contract Administration, is with us and will introduce Ms. McGlinchey.
Oh, good. Thank you so much, Mr. President. It's always an honor. The Contract Administration Bureau, the Bureau of Contract Administration, is responsible for wage standards, certified payroll, inspections, and contract compliance with our many and numerous construction projects throughout the city, as well as they help to implement project labor agreements where we are able to empower individuals to get employment and, more importantly, to associate with unions for which they can continue to work even after the project. And finally, our business improvement program. I say in summary that what we do of all the programs we're fortunate enough to oversee for the Department of Public Works is that we inspect what we expect in the Bureau of Contract Administration. It's a privilege and it's an honor for me to introduce one of our senior administrators who, among many other things, is responsible for contract compliance in the sense to make sure that the business improvement program is what it should be and that the individuals who do business with us are compliant with the proposals and the pledges that they make to us for including individuals in work in the city of Los Angeles. None other than Ms. Linda McGlinchey.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone else. Good evening. I am going to share with you my screen and talk about our Small Business Academy. Sorry, just a moment.
And before you start, I just wanted to say good evening. This is Andrea Clement, Deputy Chief of Staff and District Director for CD4. And thank you all Public Works folks. Thank you so much for your time, and just excited to be here this evening.
Good to see you, Andrea.
Well, thank you. So, as I said, I'm talking tonight about the Small Business Academy. It is a collaboration between the Bureau of Contract Administration, the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, the Port of Los Angeles, and Los Angeles World Airport. We started this some time ago with the objectives being to provide small businesses with information on how to contract with the city of Los Angeles, with the goal of enabling more diverse participation in public work contracting opportunities. And the last Small Business Academy that we had in person was in the fall of 2019, and that one focused on construction. The curriculum was focused on providing prime and subcontractor insights about working on various types of construction projects, including design build and other types of project delivery methods, the construction project requirements, contract compliance requirements, and major initiatives and projects that were coming on board for the proprietary departments that I mentioned we've partnered with, as well as Public Works. We also educated our attendees on business essentials, bonding, risk management, and access to capital. All of this is really to prepare them to contract with the city or other governmental agencies. So, So as you can see, we have the participation for the 2019 attendees. That consisted of 26 graduates out of 36 companies that were admitted to our Small Business Academy, and that was after we went through a total of 132 applications that were received. Our Small Business Academy is very popular. And again, this was a construction-based one. The previous year in 2018, to give some perspective, was based on personal professional services, and we had over 400 applicants. So we try to look at the best, what would be the best fit for what we're doing and the projects that we know are coming up. As you can see with this group, we had a nice diversity in terms of participation. And going on, sorry, it looks like my screen may have frozen. There we go. An overview of our participation from 2014 to 2019. You can see that of a total of 182 graduates, 37% were women-owned businesses and 46% were minority-owned businesses. You can also see in terms of having done a survey of the businesses, our graduates, we had, and this was done in 2020, we had a total of 186 graduates. We surveyed them, 31 firms responded, and what you see here are that the gray shaded firms are projects that our construction graduates have reported winning or participating on, and the white fields project the professional personal service graduates. And you can see that it's not just city contracts that they're bidding on. They are bidding on all types of contracts. Now, going into back to more specifics on our Small Business Academy, we found that the best participation and the best networking and results coming from our Small Business Academy happens when it is in person. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we did suspend the in-person academy that would have been held in fall of 2020. So our last in-person was in fall of 2019. Because of COVID, we didn't want to just stop with what we've been doing in terms of providing information and education to our businesses. So we pivoted this last year and we created Lighting the Way, a video series that's posted on YouTube, and it's to still provide that information, reach a broader base of people. And what we've had so far is the first video was launched on March 3rd of this year, and it's had since then over 1,100 views, and we now have 143 subscribers to our YouTube channel. The second video was released on May 3rd, and that was focused on certification recognition in LA Bobbin. For those of you that may not know, LA Bobbin is the Los Angeles Business Assistance Virtual Network, and that is where the city advertises all of its contracting opportunities. That video since May 3rd has received just under 500 views. We continue to work with our Small Business Academy graduates, even after their academy cohort has ended and they've graduated. We pre-COVID, we were working on small group matchmaking events with prime contractors that were looking for specific types of subcontractors. We brought them all together so that they could learn what the prime contractor was looking for, and they had an opportunity to introduce their services to the prime and show the prime how they could help them meet their goals in a small group setting. Some of the other things we do with them is let them know about other educational and outreach events that are coming up. And we're hoping to do that again in the next fiscal year, which will be July through June of July 2021 through June 2022. We are planning on returning with another Small Business Academy. At this point, we're not sure if it will be in person or virtual, but we are planning on having another one. More information can be found out about the Small Business Academy by looking at the Bureau of Contract Administration's website, which is at bca.lacity.org, or by registering on the Los Angeles Business Assistance Virtual Network at labadn.org. We will always advertise our Small Business Academy solicitation for applications, as well as other outreach and educational events through the LA Bobbin system, and again through our website. That concludes my presentation. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Linda. TJ, do we have anybody with questions?
So if there are any members of the public or any participants in this meeting, please press *9 to raise your hand, or go ahead and unmute yourself this time. Seeing no one unmuting, I don't think there are questions.
As always, excellent, Linda. Thank you so much. President Pro Tem Davis, any parting comments or follow-up comments? You're on mute, Mike.
Okay, there we go. I wanted to say that we are consistently working to be more inclusive and to be innovative in new ways to include small and emerging businesses in. And just this past Wednesday, under the leadership of President Greg Good and others, we have implemented a new public policy in the city of Los Angeles that will take multi-million-dollar projects and break them up into multiple projects where smaller businesses and emerging people who are just starting their business can have an opportunity to interview and to compete for those dollars. We have more smaller businesses than we do huge big businesses. So we want to have an economy that matters. And so Eric Garcetti's, our mayor's Executive Order 27, he talks about his vision is to create an opportunity for those small and emerging businesses. So I want to say the Bureau of Contract Administration is in the lead of creating new, innovative, more inclusive ways to include more businesses in Los Angeles in the city work that we create. So that is what we do, and we are very proud to be a part of this new thinking for the city.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Really appreciate that. And it is true. We're all fired up. I know everyone on this thing is fired up about community level contracting. It's going to be really exciting. It's already yielded great results with the sidewalk repair meaningful game changer in the service of equity and opportunity in the city. And so, and as we all say, Department of Public Works is an engine of economic opportunity, equity, sustainability, and activity. So with that, Mr. Knight, have we cleared the decks tonight?
Yes, we have, President Good.
Anybody got any last thoughts, family? All right. Thank you all very much. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, CD4. We so appreciate being with you and you being with us. Look forward to seeing everybody in person. Thanks, folks. Meeting is adjourned. Have a great night.